it with Miami Dolphins.
The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jaelan, the Dolphin touchdown.
Throwing deep upfield on the near side, man open, touchdown! Looking deep, he's got a man! Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep! He's got it for a touchdown!
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Cause guess what's back? Back again. Dolphins training camp's back. Tell a friend, as the rookies officially reported today. And there's actually some news coming out of camp already on top of all that. So, you know, hey, we got updates already from camp. And, we are a week away from the veterans reporting. And guess what? We are 12 days away from fans showing up to the first open practice to fans. So here we go. You can feel it. You know, it's that old Ace Ventura. I can feel it. I can feel it like it's right in my neck. All right. So, yeah, it's back, man. It's back. And we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're going to go over Nick Wright's AFC East predictions. By the way, shout out to all you who have supported and subscribed to FinHub. We've been pushing that channel for a little bit now, and we just passed 10K over on FinHub. So I appreciate all of you who have been showing support. But yeah, we got Nick Wright's AFC East predictions. We'll talk about that. Rich Gannon talks about Tua and his health. On top of that, we got obviously updates, like I said, from camp. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I guess the Madden rating adjusters must have got a hold of the executives, coaches, and scouts that voted on the top 10 wide receiver list, because we got to talk about that. Because Tyreek Hill, talk about a freaking snub. My Lord. All right? We're going to talk about that because it was a snub, if you ask me. Snub. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about, speaking of Madden rating adjusters, we're going to continue to talk about how blind they are and what's going on right now. You know, Christian Wilkins got a little love. He made the top 10 for his respective position, but we got to talk about something else that's, you know, jabbing me right in my craw. And then we'll talk about Fangio's defense and what it'll do better than Josh Boyer and Brian Flores. Great article by David Ferones. And so on and so forth. We got a lot to talk about today. Before we get into everything, though, for all of you that keep, I'm going to be making some calls tonight, hopefully getting some more information on the Dalvin Cook situation, latest updates. I got some information earlier today, so I'm going to try and get some more information tonight. And then I'll either drop it into 3 takes or have it for all y'all on the show tomorrow. But I'm going to try and do some digging and see what I can find on top of what I've already found out today. Now, speaking of Dalvin Cook, this running back market is crazy right now. If you guys have been paying attention or not been paying attention, it's almost like an uprising. It's almost like the running backs are coming together right now. And now, is this good for Dalvin Cook and, you know, him moving forward? I don't know. But I will say this, you know, right now, the deal is, it's been reported by Pro Football Talk that a bunch of these running backs, they basically have a like group chat going on, and they had all come to the conclusion in that group chat that they were gonna start complaining. They're gonna start complaining about the pay, about the pay scale for running backs, and that's what's happened. I mean, you saw Jonathan Taylor, you saw everyone, even people who have been paid. You saw people who coming up on the horizon of having to get paid. They're basically all coming together, and it's not a revolt, but it looks like these guys want change in terms of money and what they're being paid. I mean, we talked about this, 5 years ago, the franchise tag was like $10.3 million. Now we're down to about like 10.1. It's gone backwards, the franchise tag. You see, and Matt Miller really set it off yesterday, and they really went off on it. Did the running backs in the NFL, signed or unsigned. And, Matt Miller basically said, nowadays it's draft a guy. If you draft him in the first round, franchise tag him, and then rinse and repeat. If he's not, play him out for 4 years, draft another guy, rinse and repeat. And the running backs are taking a lot of offense to this stance that, because they see where the NFL is going. They see, they feel right now that not only are they being undervalued, but, they contribute a lot more to games than what they're giving credit for. And listen, I talked about this kind of yesterday, right? Like, Saquon Barkley, to me, clearly Saquon Barkley made life easier for a guy like Daniel Jones last year. I mean, that's obvious. You know what I mean? But that's why I think, Saquon will get done before Josh Jacobs. I mean, we knew Josh McDaniels didn't want Jacobs when he arrived. So, and, I don't know what to say right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they're trying to put their foot down, because not only has the NFL and GM minds got excessive with it, but they're seeing it's becoming normalized in the media, and it's becoming normalized thoughts. It's becoming a normalized thought amongst fans of how, invaluable they're making the position out to be. And what's crazy is the effect this has on Dalvin Cook. Where does he stand with this? Is he going to take a stand in solidarity with his brothers here on this issue? Because what's happening, see, where we're getting here to is like, picture it like a strike without a strike, like a picket line. Who's going to be the first to cross that line? Is it going to be Saquon? Is it going to be Josh Jacobs? Is it going to be Dalvin Cook? Because if Dalvin Cook goes out and he takes a $5 million contract with incentives to get up to 7 or 8, that's not going to bode well for those guys. Listen, Joe Mixon already did them no favors by taking the pay cuts he did. I'm sure privately these guys are not happy with what Joe Mixon did. I can almost probably guarantee you that. You know what I mean? And now is, are you going to count Mixon as a first across the picket line, or are we waiting for one of these guys with the franchise tag? Because the ultimate move would be, what if the Raiders, for example, which I don't think they will, because it seems like, it makes more sense to them to get into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and doing what I'm about to say doesn't make a ton of sense. But what if they let Josh Jacobs walk, and then they themselves say, all right, let's go get Dalvin for $5 million with incentives to get up to 7 or 8. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden they're throwing a wrench into it. Now, will Dalvin do that? I don't know, because talk about crossing the picket line on that one. So, it's crazy how this running back market has gotten worse and worse by the day for Dalvin Cook. Like, that's where I'm going with this, basically. We've been talking about if these tags wouldn't get signed. We've talked about the possibility of what if one gets rescinded and then one of the teams just decides to make a move for a cheaper option. I mean, what if the Raiders are all in on the tank and they say, all right, screw it, rescind it, and, we'll go with what we have right now. Because remember, they drafted Zamir White last year out of Georgia. We'll go what we have right now, or we'll sign someone like Leonard Fournette for like $2 million, $3 million. So, hey, we'll see. And we are getting towards, we are only a week away from the veterans reporting. Now, I know Dalvin and his camp don't have a hard deadline, but you got to think they have a soft deadline of the first day of training camp. So, I got some info today, and, I'm stashing it. I'll either report it tomorrow or I will put it up on Patreon. But let me just say this, this was part of the plan. From what I understand and what I was told today, he was never going to sign before the deadline of these franchise tags unless they were resolved. So I'll talk more in depth about that on the Patreon. And, if I do give a full report tomorrow for everyone, because like I said, I'm going to be digging more into Dalvin Cook once I'm done here, and I can work the phones tonight once the kids are asleep. So, but I was told, this was always part of the plan in terms of how this stuff has been working out with the running back market. He wasn't, especially with the offers given to him on the table right now, which I've told you. I reported long ago that we offered $4 million, and I've been told all the other teams were in the $4 to $5 million range. With the offers on the table and with what's happening to the running back market right now, I was told the plan was always, no, we're not. I was told this today, not going to sign before that deadline for the franchise tag. So I'll go deeper into that detail, and obviously hopefully have some more information on the whole Dalvin Cook situation as we're only a week away from veterans reporting. So there is that. Another thing, because I've been getting so many, oh my God, reason, have you seen Tua's tattoo? Has Nick sent you pictures? You have videos from Nick with it in it. Even if, whether I do or not, I wouldn't share that stuff because, that again, that's not my business to put out there. You know what I mean? I've had people DMing me like, yo, I need to, well, people need to relax, okay? I've got to say something here. I don't really comment on the fan base or put the fan base down or anything like that, but I will say one thing. It's been real cringe to watch some of our fan base like watching Dalvin Cook on Twitter and, the roller coaster up and down of emotions because one day he likes Dolphin stuff, the next day he likes Jet stuff, blah, 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 blah. But just like, it's just been really... people obsessed with what people are liking, if it'll give them any indication or, and it's kind of floating over to this tattoo thing. I've had multiple people hit me up, some people real respectable about it. Some people just like, they want to see it. They need to see it. And it's like, relax. It's just a full sleeve tattoo on our quarterback. This is not, you would think I'd have, you would think this guy, you would think I was his photographer and he just posed for a freaking Playgirl and I got a bunch of fucking women in my DMs asking for, early snapshots of his photo shoot. You would think, like, we're out here like Kramer and George from, Seinfeld back in the day. That's what you think, the way some people are acting about trying to get their hands on these pictures of his arm sleeve. I don't know what people's obsession is with it. You know what I mean? Just go look at The Rock's arm sleeve. You know what I mean? Stare at that till you see what Tua has. I don't know what to tell you, but it's been. I've actually. I'm not even lying to you when I say I've had like a half dozen people hit me up about it. I'm not even lying to you. At least like a half dozen people hit me up about it. You know what I mean? Like over a freaking tattoo. It's hilarious, bro. It's funny, first couple were funny. Then then we started getting into fifth person, sixth person hitting me up, and I'm like, whoa, these people really care about this. So hey, I don't know, watching another grown man's likes and on Twitter, and then wanting to see another grown man's new tattoo and. Stumbling over everyone to try and see it. That's just a different energy for me. I've never seen that before. So, and that is, this should anyone really be shocked? I mean, this is part of that culture. These are a big part of Samoan culture, right? So I don't know. Hey, I get the fascination, but at the same time, I don't get the fascination. All right? Spooky Myers, look at this guy. Look at this guy. I have the photos. Bids starting at 1K. Brother, if you're selling them on the platform, that's a 15% finder's fee right here, okay? I'm boosting it up from 10 because you're asking for 1K, all right? All right? Just saying, if you're gonna well, to be honest with you, not just dudes. Just to be honest with you, not just dudes. Spooky Meyer says, I got that a boy, bro. Don't worry, I'll send you the PayPal over, huh? Q says, nah, y'all listen for real. You sounded like feet for real. For real. Hey, you heard it here first. Spooky's gonna give me 50%. I mean, it is, eh? But Spooky's smart, Hey, even if I was Tua, let's be honest here. Release the pictures for a price and just donate all the money to the foundation. What's up with that, huh? Let's be smart about this, Tua. Let's get some money for that foundation and a good cause. No, Jethro. He has a full sleeve on his arm. Q just saying people are treating it like feet pics. That's all. He has a full... Man, if he had a full sleeve on his foot, that would be some next level. I don't know what that's on. I'd be like, yo, I think the tattoo guy wasn't listening fully when you showed up and sat down in the seat, huh? So that's funny. Oh my God. Yeah, it's exactly, Scotty. It was coming. It came down to just past his shoulder. Now it's a full sleeve down to his wrist. All right, let's get into this right now. Let's start off with the rookies reporting to training camp because a couple things came out of it today. Let's start off with this. Dolphins rookies are reporting for training camp and what to know about the newcomers. Tuesday is reporting day for Dolphin rookies who, along with players from 7 other teams, are reporting to facilities ahead of the start of training camp. About 24 first-year Dolphins will be arriving at the Baptist Health Training Complex, headlined by the team's 4-player draft class. Training camp won't officially start until veterans report next Tuesday, and then the Dolphins hold their first team practice, but this marks the next gradual step in the return to football. Here's what you need to know about the Dolphins rookies as they arrive to Baptist Health Training Complex. Cam Smith, obviously, he's the big one. One college coach described him as a football junkie, and he's expected to start his career as an outside corner. And you look at what David Ferrona says, has a versatility to line up multiple spots on defense. Remember, Cam Smith is one of the guys I think, Jalen Ramsey was talking about when he said there's multiple guys who could play the star role. I think Cam Smith is one of those guys he mentioned. I think Kader Kohu can become one of those guys once he gets better on the boundary. And I think Javon Holland's a guy who could do that too. But I do think Cam Smith is a guy they look at. He could play that star role. Devon A-Chain, everyone knows this is my guy. We've been talking about him for over a year on this channel, over a year and a half on the Fin2D podcast. Obviously, shined at the NFL Scouting Combine with a 4.32 second 40-yard dash, the fastest time for running backs this year. And he was the only Power 5 player to score as a rusher, receiver, and kick returner in 2022. And obviously a first-team All-SEC honor as a running back and all-purpose back. Obviously Elijah Higgins is another one you got to be on the lookout for. He's transitioning to tight end in his career. Ryan Hayes, who I said would be moving to guard. He finished his college career with 30 starts at offensive tackle. Twice named to the second-team All-Big Ten. And even here it says he could move to inside guard in the NFL, which is the projection I see for him as well. And who is most likely to make a big contribution in year one? The Dolphins have high hopes for this draft class, but expectations should be tempered. Last season, Miami had a league-low 4 draft picks, and it didn't get many contributions from the group, aside from Skylar Thompson, who was forced to play because of injuries and struggled as a 7th-round rookie. With a talented roster, it will be an uphill battle for the group to unseat established veterans. But out of this group, Smith and A-Chain have the greatest chance to make an impact in 2023. Smith has a pair of veterans above him solidified as starters in Ramsey and Xavier Howard. Kader Kohu has started 13 games as an undrafted rookie. Is expected to be a big part of new coordinator Vic Fangio's defense, but Fangio loves to disguise looks and versatile players, and Smith would work his way into this defense in various packages. So there you go. There will be a lot of competition, though, with players such as Nick Needham and Noah Benogany also. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about Noah being competition for you, Cam. A-Chain also joins a veteran position group as the Dolphins resign Mostert, Wilson, Ahmed, and Gaskin. The possibility of adding Dalvin Cook remains a possibility, which would further crowd the running back room, but A-Chain was a player head coach Mike McDaniel highly coveted in the draft process, and A-Chain impressed in organized team activities. Even if he can't find a consistent role early in the offense, Miami could use his speed to boost a return game that is ranked among the league's worst in the past 2 seasons. You know, I've said this. I don't care whether Cook comes here or not, A-Chain's going to get his reps. Like, you know, returner, can you be used in the slot, can be used for drags and underneath route concepts on the boundary. A-Chain is going to get his reps whether Cook's here or not, so I ain't worried. And he's going to have a chance to impress and get more reps whether Cook's here or not. If Cook ain't here, he has a chance I think he has a legitimate chance to take over the top spot by halfway through the season, if he makes the most of his opportunities. Now, if Cook comes here, I think he's got the chance, if he makes the most of his opportunities, to lock in as the number 2, no doubt about it. But again, this all comes down to the opportunities given and him making the most of them when they're given to him. And who are the undrafted rookies for all of y'all to keep an eye on? Mitchell Agudier, James Blackman, Ethan Bonner, Chris Brooks, Randy Charlton, Chris Coleman, David Davis, Julian Hill, Aubrey Miller, whoever knows I'm very high on, Anthony Montavo, who I'm interested on because he has a very interesting athletic skill set, Garrett Nelson, Brandon Pilley, who is really right now our only true 0 backup option, Keydron Smith, James Tunstall, Michael Turk, Alame Ulave, Zeke Vandenberg, and Bennett Williams. You know, another one I've been told who could be competing with Brandon Pilley is Josiah Bronson. So, and, you know, which, in David Ferona's opinion, which undrafted rookie has the best chance to make the 53-man roster? You know, in the early years of the Dolphins' rebuild, Miami has found space for undrafted rookies. Kohu, Trey Williams, Robert Jones are the most recent. But with the veteran team, roster spots will be tight for anyone on the bubble. Guaranteed money is usually a sign of a player the team especially coveted, and 3 players who received the most were Keydron Smith, Aubrey Miller, and Brandon Pilley. Agudier Nelson had a good stretch of practices and OTAs, but are competing for roster spots at a stacked position group. Like many of the end of the roster candidates, their prospects could ultimately come down to their contributions. Yeah, and like another guy who, he's not a UDFA, but he is a UFA, Bryce Thompson. I mean, that's another guy you got to look out for because he had a really good OTAs. And, you know, that's another guy you got to watch too. And he, you know, he had a really strong season in the XFL. He's got NFL reps. Bryce Thompson is a guy you got to watch out for too. He's not a UDFA, but he's a UFA who could make this team and could make some noise as we head into training camp. Every year, it seems, we get an off-the-chart defensive back that seems to make some noise and make the team. Bryce Thompson is a guy to watch. Now, Keydron Smith, when you look at the guaranteed money they gave him, obviously $135,000 is the most we've given anyone, and he's also a safety. It makes sense given the safety depth we have. Again, it's going to come down to him making the most of his opportunities. Aubrey Miller, these guys haven't added any interior linebacker help. None whatsoever. So the door is wide open for Aubrey Miller. Again, he's got to make something of the opportunities given because AVG's converted. So there's another body that wasn't expected to compete, is competing for that interior linebacker 3 spot. You know, then you got Duke Riley, who's been with the team for a few years, but he's a special team specialist. And you got Channing Tindall, who better be as hungry as a kid that hasn't eaten for a week and a half because he's got to make something out of his draft status. So, a lot of stuff to watch, but some opportunities did open up today. As it was reported, Ethan Bonner is on the active non-football injury list, and Zeke Vandenberg has been placed on IR. So, what does that mean right now? Well, what that means is Zeke Vandenberg, apparently, he sustained an injury while training this offseason, and he's going to be out for the year. Unless designated, he's done. So Zeke Vandenberg, who was a guy who had a lot of potential, he was another guy that a lot of us were excited to watch and to see if, he could make the practice squad and be someone that this team quietly develops. He's not going to have that chance, it seems. Because Zeke Vandenberg, it is over for his season. Remember, this is a guy who was the Buck Buchanan Award winner as the FCS Most Outstanding Defensive Player of the Year. This guy had 100 tackles in 2022. He had 14 sacks in 2022. It was very interesting prospect, and we won't get a chance to see him. Now, Ethan Bonner, the word on Ethan Bonner is he has a minor illness, and he should be fine in the next few days, and that's from his agent. So, Bonner, he'll be fine. Zeke Vandenberg, he is now out for the year, so we already have an injury, and that already means a roster spot has opened up. That's what that means when you look at it long term here, all right? All right. So there is your day one rookies reporting to training camp update. And next week, we are 7 days away from the veterans reporting. I cannot wait. Now, we got a couple other things we got to get into here. So let's get into them. And let's start off with Nick Wright and his thoughts on the AFC East. Now, please, do me the favor. Over 285 of you in the room, please smash that like button. Please subscribe if you're new. If you can donate, please donate, but if you can't, please do me the favor of smashing the like button, because I'm probably going to get FS1 or real sticklers when it comes to this stuff. I want to play this segment from Nick Wright talking about the AFC East and his predictions, so I might get demonetized here, so please do me the favor. At least smash the like button, all right? And if you can donate, please donate.
The Patriots' best case, I think, is a winning season, 11-6, win a game in the playoffs. I think that is their best case scenario.
I'm okay with that.
That, you know what, Mac gets back to his rookie form, the defense is awesome, you win an ugly 17-14 playoff game. Worst case, disaster season. Mac gets benched halfway through, and after the year, Belichick gets fired. Most likely.
That would be bad.
Again, I'm trying to do a realistic best case and a realistic worst case. Most likely, nah. It's just like so before I get to the other teams, you guys can, I think, right now my pick, obviously, it would be the most likely outcome. I think they're around 500 all year and not good enough to make the playoffs. But I think their ceiling is a pretty good team, and their floor is, this went real south real quick. The Jets, I think their best case is 12-5 and make the AFC Championship game. I don't think Rodgers is going to do the Brady-Stafford thing, get to a team taking the Super Bowl. Their worst case is their same record as last year. Rodgers walks, and they owe the Packers a first-round pick. I think most likely is they finish 10-7. They're 3 games better, which is about probably what Rodgers is worth over the worst quarterbacking, and they're a wild card team that has no real playoff juice. That's how I see the Jets falling. It sounds like I think we agree on that. The second highest ceiling in the division, which I believe is the Buffalo Bills.
Second highest ceiling. Look at this.
Their best case is another awesome regular season. They're 13-4. Josh Allen gets his 3rd consecutive media MVP, but his first actual MVP, and they make the Super Bowl. Now, they're the Bills, so I don't think they're allowed to win it, but they make the Super Bowl. Their worst case is this thing goes sideways on them. They have too much talent to have a truly awful season, but 9-8, like you were saying with the Jets, you could miss the playoffs. The most likely is it's very similar to what they've been the last couple years.
So most likely he's got 2 playoff teams already
from the AFC East. That is not good enough come the second round of the postseason, and that's how I see it going. The worst case is, I'm not trying to be too negative, but it is the most interesting just in the regards of they have this offseason drama. Leslie Frazier has walked away. Sean McDermott's taken on more of responsibility. And because of how Allen finished the year, I think there is minor concerns of how is he going to look this season another year removed from Brian Daboll. What's that going to look like? If they struggle, I think there'll be concerns there. But I think the Bills will be a pretty good team, probably the division winner, but not one of the top teams in the AFC. Yeah. And now last,
there we go.
The Miami Dolphins. I think the best case for the Dolphins is they win the Super Bowl.
Woo!
Yikes. The Dolphins last year, man, listen, I am not a full-fledged Tua believer, the way a lot of people, some of our colleagues on the
network
network
we're number
are.
one. We have the
but
highest
I have
ceiling
to be fair.
To him.
When he was healthy, that offense was humming.
Yes, it was.
That Mike McDaniel, as a rookie head coach on the road in the playoffs with a third-string quarterback, played the Bills to the final seconds of that game with Skylar Thompson. They bring in Jaelan Ramsey. They bring in Vic Fangio, pardon me. There is a path for that team to be fantastic and terrifying. There just is.
Yep.
Their worst case is what we all know could happen, which is, suffers another injury or gets knocked around, and it falls apart on him the way it did after he got hurt. The most likely to me is that they have a better season than last year, even if the record looks similar. But I think the Dolphins are not really a dark horse because it's not like no one's talking about them, but the healthy Miami Dolphins should be a scary team.
There you go, Nick Wright, Chiefs fan, hardcore Chiefs fan. A healthy Miami Dolphins should be a scary team, and he did that in order, meaning, he even said he thought, now their record was better in best case scenario, but he thought the Bills have the second highest ceiling of our division, and he thinks we have the highest ceiling of our division. I'm telling you right now, Nick Wright knows if this team's healthy, especially heading into that matchup with the Chiefs, we are the biggest threat to a Chiefs repeat if this team stays healthy. He knows it. We've got the defense to maybe not shut Mahomes down, but at least slow him down. And we've got the offense that can either survive a shootout, or if our defense slows you down, that offense can blow past you. We talk about finding the balance on offense with the run game and the pass game. Well, this might be one of the best balanced teams talent-wise on both sides of the ball we've seen. Just saying. And like I said, and I've been saying, I expect our special teams to be much better than it was last year. Look at the bodies you've added. Braxton can return. Devon Achane can return, right? You're not going to be depleting your secondary depth due to injuries, so you're going to have depth guys like Bethel won't have to be starting a corner, so he can focus on being a gunner and contributing to special teams. We're going to be better across the board here. Year 2 of this offense, a more talented, better led defense, and a more explosive special teams now. I'm just saying, we look like we are going to be the biggest threat if we stay healthy to the Chiefs repeating. And you heard Nick Wright, a Chiefs fan. If the Dolphins stay healthy, they are a scary team. And he ain't lying. But we got to stay healthy. And speaking of staying healthy, this is what Rich Gannon said about Tua Tagovailoa and his advice to Tua on staying healthy.
Talk about Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. He's missed games in each of his first 3 seasons because of injuries, including 4 last year, multiple concussions. That's always a concern. I think the big concern that I would have if I was a part of that organization down there in Miami, can this quarterback stay healthy and play all 17 regular season games? He has to do a better job of protecting himself, not only inside the pocket, but outside the pocket. He has to be able to avoid the unnecessary hits. And I tell young quarterbacks this all the time. There's 3 areas of your body that you have to protect: your head, your shoulders, and your knees. And unfortunately, he's taken way too many hits to the head. He's got to do a much better job seeing, getting out of bounds, throwing the football away, and again, avoiding the unnecessary hits. I think when you look at that offense, he's surrounded by a ton of talent. You look at Tyreek Hill, you look at Jaelan Waddle, you look at Braxton Berrios, Cedric Wilson added in free agency. They've got an improved offensive line. You got a great left tackle in Teron Armstead, a slew of really good running backs. They do need to replace Mike Gesicki at the tight end position. But unlike Mac Jones with the Patriots, the Dolphins are loaded with speed and talent on the offensive side of the ball. And I just think he has to understand that his best ability is going to be his availability. Can he stay healthy? Can he play all 17 games this year for the Miami Dolphins? When he has been healthy and when he's been on the field, he has been extremely productive. Mm-hmm. There were stretches last year where you felt like the Dolphins would run away with the AFC East. Yep. They were playing great football, but without him in the lineup, this was a team that had lost its way. They struggle without Tua Tagovailoa. The key for the Dolphins this year, keep the quarterback healthy. Keep him in the pocket, have him get the ball out quick, and avoid the unnecessary hits.
I mean, he talks about the avoiding unnecessary hits. He talks about what he tells quarterbacks: protect your shoulders, protect your knees, and protect your head, which obviously makes sense. But you saw him. As much as he said availability is the best ability for Tua, he said this team looks lost without Tua. He stressed how much this offense needs Tua as the main cog to keep all the wheels turning here. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong whatsoever. But I will say this, I think Rich Gannon is going to be very impressed with how seriously Tua is taking staying healthy. And that's why I've got a feeling he's going to be healthy this year. He's taking this as serious as anything. In every offseason, we've seen Tua work his hardest and work his damnedest to improve in areas in his game. We saw it with the footwork and the velocity a little last year, mainly the footwork, and we saw, the leap in his game. And, we have not seen him attack an offseason in regards to, with one of the main points, trying to strengthen his neck, his body, and understand energy distribution the way he has this offseason. And, he continues to be the hardest worker in the room. You got to love our quarterback, because every year he works on things that are deemed areas he needs to improve on, and he does improve on them every offseason. So I expect the taking care of his body, understanding how imperative it is he stays healthy, and also understanding to live for another play. And you don't got to make every play outside of the pocket. All those things, I think, last year was an eye-opener. I think it was the second eye-opener. You had the hip injury happen outside of the pocket, was avoidable if he got rid of the football, right? And you look at his injuries since then, right? The Bills game when he got hit from behind, that was really unavoidable. That was Jesse Davis. And then now these concussions, he's looking at them as, oh, crap, this is the hip all over again. It was me getting outside of the pocket. I could have got rid of the football. I could have protected my body. And he's just got to understand one of the key things I was always taught as a young kid playing the position, and you always hear me say it, live to see another down. That's what I was always told. It's okay to live to see another down when it comes to protecting your body. And I don't think I've ever seen Tua. Tua didn't take that as serious after the hip injury the way of how seriously he's taking it right now. It's like the hip injury opened his eyes, but the concussions was a rude awakening to how he has to protect his body, especially all these injuries happen outside. All the major injuries of Tua Tagovailoa happen outside the pocket, not inside the pocket, because his pocket presence is elite. He's got to learn, and I've talked about this. This comes from when he was in high school. He was one of the best athletes on the field. Then when he went to college, he was a good athlete on the field. right? Now he's got to realize, now you're against elite athletes, and you're a good athlete at this level. You're not an elite athlete like some of these guys. So this isn't high school, right? Where you're one of the most elite athletes on the field, and you can just do whatever you want at your will. You got to learn to adapt. And at the end of the day, it's hard to blame him for it too, because he's just trying to make plays for our football team. He's getting injured trying to make plays for our football team. So you respect that, you understand that, and you acknowledge that, but at the same time you say, listen, it means a lot more to us if you're healthy than you making that one play outside the pocket, right? We don't need you for that one play outside the pocket. We need you for 17 games. And he's never taken that as seriously as he has this offseason. So I expect him to improve on it the way he's attacked it. Because Tua just works his ass off, man. Nothing else to say. ESPN, we've been following week in, week out. And now we get to the final one, ladies and gentlemen. NFL executives, coaches, and scouts rank the NFL's top 10 wide receivers for 2023. Get ready. So, we've done this already, right? We have done off-ball linebackers where we had no Dolphins, defensive tackles where Wilkins made the honorable mentions, edge rushers where Phillips made the honorable mentions, cornerbacks where Jaelan Ramsey was the third ranked and X made honorable mentions, safeties, Javon Holland was the fifth ranked, tight ends, obviously you didn't have any, running backs didn't have any, but Dalvin Cook made the top 10, offensive tackles, Armstead made the honorable mentions, we had no guard or center make the list, and quarterbacks, Tua made the honorable mentions. So now for wide receivers. I had one, Justin Jefferson, and I've always said, hey, Justin Jefferson or Tyreek, they're the best right now. So I'm not going to argue with that. This is where we start going off the rails here. Devontae Adams, the third best receiver in the NFL, was given the number 2 ranking. Look at the lowest ranking, 9. Someone ranked him 9th overall. First of all, whoever gave Justin Jefferson a ranking of 7, you need to be, examined. Jamar Chase at 3? Are we serious right now? Come on. We're serious. We are serious. With Tyreek Hill, first of all, whoever ranked Tyreek Hill at 9, you need to be taken out behind the shed and dealt with, okay? This guy just put up over 1,700 yards, and he was missing his quarterback for 5 games. Him and Waddle just finished with the 3rd most receiving yards by a receiving duo in history. 4th? In what world? They say no way around it. He'll dominate in his first season in Miami, showing he's far from dependent on quarterback Patrick Mahomes to remain elite. His metrics are eye-opening. He led the NFL in yards gained per route, despite a 33% target share, also leading the league. He got open on 45.3% of his routes on an impressive 12.2 air yards per target. His 1,710 yards was the most for a receiver in a first year with a franchise. And he's the 4th guy. Okay. Cornerbacks are still so scared that he'll run by them that they give him a huge cushion and he can win underneath. A veteran scout said having a different quarterback didn't take the luster off for him. Some still see Hill as a bit of a scheme dependent despite his having come a long way as a route runner. He won't give you comeback routes, dig routes consistently. Still a bit of a vertical gadget guy, and NFC exec said what he does takes less precision than Jefferson or Stephon Diggs or Adams because he has so much room to work with. Remember, he was the 13th ranked on open target percentage. So he was ranked 13th in the NFL on target percentage where he was open. So he wasn't even top 10 in that. And Waddle was 20. So Tyreek absolutely snubbed, absolutely disrespected. In what world is Tyreek not a top 3 receiver in the NFL? This is unbelievable. Did the Madden ratings adjusters get a hold of these executives, coaches, and scouts? Because everyone knows these are the only rankings I really hold in some regard because of, the great job Fowler does and the executives and coaches and scouts involved. But, this got me questioning here, okay? All right? What are we talking about right now? I just don't get it. Jamar Chase was injured and had a down year. What are we talking about? What did Jamar Chase show you last year that said he was better than Tyreek Hill? Didn't show me anything. I don't know what these people are on. I really don't. 5th, Cooper Kupp. 6th, Stephon Diggs. See, I think right here, you want my know? I'll tell you right now. Jefferson, Tyreek, Devontae, and then Stephon Diggs should be at 4, if you want my honest opinion. And then you should have Cooper Kupp at 5 and Jamar Chase at 6. You can even make the argument A.J. Brown at 6. But he's at 7. DK Metcalf at 8. He was unranked by someone. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. Scary Terry at 9. CeeDee Lamb at 10. And then we get into the honorable mentions. Debo at 11. Mike Evans at 12. T. Higgins at 13. 14, Garrett Wilson. Jalen Waddle at 15. And Devontae Smith at 16 in the honorable mentions. And what they say about Jalen Waddle is this. The presence of Hill doesn't dim Waddle's bright star. He's considered a primary target for any offense. He's not a small gimmick guy. He's the real deal. A senior NFL executive said, I'd take him over most of the guys in the league. Pure speed, but knows how to win on any level of the field. Dolphins quarterback posted a 119.5 passer rating when targeting Waddle, who finished the year with 1,356 yards and 8 touchdowns. Right there, I'd take him over most guys in the league, a senior NFL executive said. What are we talking about here being ranked being ranked this low? What are we talking about here? Only Jefferson, Hill, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb had more yardage than Waddle last year. And again, Waddle led the league in yards per catch and missed his quarterback for 5 games. Only 6 players had more yards than Waddle last year. And we saw he averaged 30 yards less per game when Tua wasn't playing. So it actually affected him. What are we talking about here? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. I really don't know what else to say. You want to talk about ridiculous? I got to go off on this too. Now, Christian Wilkins made the top 10 defensive tackle rankings for Madden. He was rated an 86 overall. He made the top 10. But look what they did to my boy Jaelan Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Okay, they didn't make the top 10, but I want you to look here, okay? You got Chase Young 17th at an 85 overall and Greg Rousseau 20th at an 84 overall. Why does that matter? Jaelan Phillips is ranked 83rd overall. Bradley Chubb 79th overall. Look at how dirty they did my boy Bradley Chubb, 79th overall. But let's talk about Jaelan Phillips. In what world is Chase Young better than Jaelan Phillips? Answer me this right now. What are these adjusters watching right now? Really, what are we talking about? Jaelan Phillips had a better rookie year. Jaelan Phillips had a better sophomore year than Chase Young had. And then Chase Young last year couldn't get on the field. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? I do not understand what is going on with the world right now when they're trying to tell me that Jaelan Phillips is less talented. A video game is trying to tell me Jaelan Phillips is less talented than Chase Young. Chase Young has 9 sacks in 7 years. In 3 years. Oh, 7 years. That would have been really bad, huh? Right? What are we talking about? You're talking about a guy who has 9 sacks in 3 years for Chase Young. All right? And you're comparing that to Jaelan Phillips, who had 8.5 last year alone. 7 as a rookie. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Jaelan Phillips is a special player, and I cannot wait until he breaks out this year. I can't wait. We got Chase Young on the same level as Jaelan Phillips. In what world, people? Let me know in what world. All right? Let me know. All right? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And finally here, guys, what will Vic Fangio's defense do better than Josh Boyer or Brian Flores? The Dolphins needed to make a change at defensive coordinator after a disappointing 2022 season for a unit that is talented on paper. They swung for the fences by landing the most coveted veteran defensive mind available in the coach hiring cycle, Vic Fangio. Fangio offers an experienced voice who can be the head coach of the defense for Mike McDaniel. He also differs from the previous defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer, in many of his philosophies for a shift that could make for a more consistent product than what Miami had last season. After Dolphins players got a taste of the Fangio scheme through the spring and through summer's organized team activities and mandatory minicamp, the work towards transforming the team's defense ahead of the 2023 season begins in earnest once veterans report for training camp July 25th. A big change from Boyer and essentially from former coach Brian Flores to Fangio will come in the defense's blitz dependency. As needed and when I want to versus having to, Fangio stated in his introductory press conference about his philosophy on the blitz. If you have to, that's not a great feeling. You want to do it when you want to, on your terms. The last time Fangio held a defensive coordinator position was when he was the AP NFL Assistant Coach of the Year with the 2018 Chicago Bears. Their 20.3 blitz percentage was the 10th lowest in the NFL, according to Pro Football Reference. His rates were in similar range, with a small, quick uptick in 3 following seasons as Denver Broncos head coach. 24.1% in 2019, 27.9% in 2020, 25.3% in 2021. The Dolphins, on the other hand, were second in blitz percentage in 2020 and 2021. Boyer's first 2 seasons as defensive coordinator, it worked well for much of that time, but those blitzes lost their luster in 2022 and became more predictable for opponents. Boyer had to drop that rate to 33.3% in 2022 from 40.8 and 39.6%, but that's still ranked 3rd in the league. Many big plays the Dolphins defense surrendered last season came as a result of the blitz being exposed, while Miami had fewer defenders on the back end. I've been places in the past where we've pressured a lot. I've been places where we didn't pressure very much, Fangio said. You got to fit the scheme to the players that you have while also factoring in the opponents that you're playing. Boyer's defenses also mostly played man-to-man coverages. Fangio's scheme, which has been popularly emulated across league circles, largely implements a variety of zone coverages while giving opposing offenses similar pre-snap looks. He often maintains a strong shell over the top to limit large gains, while also giving defensive backs opportunities to aggressively force turnovers. To fit the scheme, the Dolphins brought in elite cornerback Jalen Ramsey, who played in a similar system with the Los Angeles Rams and can play the versatile star role, which I talked about earlier. I think Cam Smith, Javon Holland could also play that role once they get acclimated to this defense, which moves him around in the secondary. It can also benefit 4-time Pro Bowl cornerback Xavier Howard, saving his legs more and his groin, because that's what's been nagging him the last couple of years, in zone coverages after he's battled an injury history, while allowing him to get eyes on the quarterback. Fangio has a history of getting safeties into the Pro Bowl, so that could lead to a breakout season for Javon Holland in this defense. And I've said Justin Simmons, we can all agree, is one of the top safeties. Javon Holland, and Fangio got him to that level. Javon Holland's more talented than Justin Simmons. He also worked well with a number of edge rushers and defensive tackles. A plus for Jaelan Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, and Zach Seiler, and maybe Emmanuel Ogbah too in a bounce-back season. The new defense simplifies matters for defenders and seems to have fewer rules. Take what linebacker Jerome Baker, who has seen his share of different Dolphins defenses since 2018, said during the offseason workout program. It gives me some freedom to just go out there and play ball, he said. Sometimes I ask, what's the rule on this? And he kind of gives me it's not really a rule. It's kind of a play ball. Fangio, who will turn 65 before the season, brings an established voice, leading the Dolphins defense after last season, and Boyer had to prove he could lead a unit without the backing of a defensive-minded head coach. Fangio has 19 years of defensive coordinator experience and 3 more as a head coach with the Broncos from 2019 to 2021. Under Fangio's, the Dolphins look to improve a defense that finished this past regular season 30th in takeaways, 27th in pass defense, 24th in scoring defense and third down defense, and 18th in total defense under Boyer. And, I remember people last year trying to say, you had people who were trying to pin everything on Tua and everything on the offense last year. And one of their arguments was, it's, the defense is doing enough. And I was sitting here saying, what are y'all talking about? We had a top 10 scoring offense under Tua. That's a fact. And here's another fact. Our defense, by the end of the season, was allowing more points per game than our top 10 offense was scoring. Think about that for a minute. You got a top 10 scoring offense, but your defense is allowing more points than that top 10 scoring offense is scoring. I apologize. That's ridiculous. And you had all these people they would say all these people would make excuses for Tua, but then they'd be the same ones making all these excuses for the defense. And clearly, it was recognized internally from the field to the high-ups that Boyer had to go, and that defense just did not suffice for what our offense was putting out. And I really think it's a possibility that this year we see the flip where we're probably going to have a top 10 offense again as long as Tua is healthy. But as long as Fangio's running things, we're probably going to have a top 10 defense to match. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Go look at how many Super Bowl winners have had a top 10 offense and a top 10. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl win was when they had a top 10 defense in Green Bay. Just saying. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to be back tomorrow for all of you around 8:30 p.m. Eastern with Richmond and Ball Game. And then we'll be live Thursday at 5 p.m., myself and Neil, and we'll be live for another episode of Fin Too Deep. The rookies have reported, and we are a week away from the veterans reporting, and it's about to get real good here. Over 340 of you in the room. Please smash the like button. Do me the favor. Smash the like button. If you can't donate, smash that like button. And shout out to Crazy Dolphin and all you those who donate and support the channel. I appreciate all y'all. And I will see y'all tomorrow on the next one. Until then, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. See y'all on the next one, people.